On the north wind came Leto, the lover of Zeus, pregnant with the gods Apollo and Artemis. Jealous Hera, wife of Zeus, had decreed that she should not deliver on any land where the sun shone. But Delos was a floating island, not land. Poseidon showed Leto the way, and she gave birth to Artemis, the goddess of the moon. Leto's labour resumed, and for 9 days and nights she toiled, unable to deliver. Hera was detaining Eileithyia, goddess of childbirth, at Olympus. In her torment, Leto knelt and clasped the one date palm that grew on Delos. Then Eileithyia came to her in the form of a bird, and Leto delivered Apollo. The goddess Themis gave him nectar and ambrosia, the food of the immortals. On the 4th day, Apollo called for a bow and arrows. The swans flew 7 times around the island singing. Delos shone and blossomed, and Poseidon fixed the island to the seabed on diamond columns. For 2,500 years, a guard of honour has stood here for the god of the lyre and the bow. Royal lions for Apollo, who knows what the future holds. The gods had homes on Delos. They climbed these steps to heaven. The first people came to Delos 5,000 years ago, bringing their gods with them. Whom did they worship in this cave? Surely not Apollo, the god of light. The most ancient of gods are dark. But Apollo is present on his island, though no one has lived here for a very long time, and none since time immemorial may give birth or die here. Ruins are all that remain. In its heyday, Delos may have looked like this, with temples and treasuries, statues and votive offerings. Perhaps in the 5th century BC, when Delos was great, or in the 2nd. The shrine at Delos did become renowned for its 3 great temples of Apollo. Of one stone I was hewn, statue and base. Here stood the 9-metre Apollo, sculpted out of marble from the island of Naxos, where immense statues were carved from the rock face. The torso and lower part of the body, the head has long since been removed as a keepsake. Besides the statue stood a bronze palm, donated by Nicias of Athens in the year 417 BC, but it blew over in a storm and smashed the statue. The god's back and his curly locks. What was it that made Delos so important? The island afforded the last and best anchorage between Europe and Asia. It was halfway between the Bosphorus and Crete, between the cities of Nauplion and Samos. Its position made Delos a centre for both trade and religion. In 477 BC, it even became the chief city of the Delian League, the naval federation to which Athens and the Ionic Islands also belonged. The remains of the temples built to Apollo by Naxos, Delos and Athens. The splendour of Delos redounded to the glory of the whole Delian League. But now, the poppy flowers here, the symbol of transience. Only foundations and columns remain, the bases of votive altars and fragments of snow-white Pentelic marble. The third largest temple in ancient Greece was the Hall of the Bulls. A Macedonian warship was displayed there in grateful memory of a naval victory. In the grass lie bulls' heads that once graced the facades. Erect phalloi, male genitals, show that another god was worshipped here as well, Dionysus, the god of wine and ecstasy. As time went by, this youngest and most unruly of the progeny of Zeus displaced the other objects of Greek worship. Apollo had been the god of the classic era, when the Greek ideal was Kalogathia, the beautiful and good. But in later times, dark, brooding gods brought in on the trade routes took the place of the old, such as the Egyptian goddess Isis, whose temple facade has been reconstructed. These gods came from Asia Minor, Egypt, Phoenicia, and North Africa. The wealth that was brought on the trade routes went into the fine houses built in the Hellenistic period. The walls are decorated in some places, and occasionally a plastered section has survived. Now sea breezes waft the poppies of Delos, and the lizards inherit. The different layers of plasterwork are clearly visible on the walls, a handsome record of many years of life on Delos. The main cistern in the underground heart of Delos, the source of life. The thought of depths comes readily on Delos. The gods Zeus, Athene, Dionysus and Isis, and of course Apollo and Artemis, seem to touch profound depths in the human spirit. All of them are images of humankind, of human passions, virtues and weaknesses. And this on the island where none might give birth or die, where ships took the dying and women in labour to the nearby island of Renaya. The mosaics wonderfully enact the rhythms of life, up and down, within and without, dark and light, day and night. The imagery of Delos is always human at heart. Eros, riding two dolphins, guiding two lovers through the sea of life. The ruined houses take their names from the finest mosaics found in them, such as this Dionysus riding a leopard. Human passion, unbridled, all-consuming. The dolphin and anchor symbolize fidelity. Eros accompanying a female sea monster. The ecstatic flute and drum, the music of Dionysus. The instrument of Apollo was the lyre. And then there are the many faces of Dionysus, the masks of intoxication and of comedy. The masks of Apollo were those of tragedy, of human guilt and expiation. The theatre of Apollo was that of catharsis, the purging of guilt. At the theatre, Apollo remade humankind in his own image, beautiful and good. Delos was sacked in 88 BC, and 20,000 inhabitants slaughtered. Since then, it has been uninhabited and unused, except occasionally by pirates. The lions of Delos remained to watch over the island. 5 of the 9 still stand, worn smooth by the wind and the weather. They still face the sacred lake that no longer exists. In 1926, it was filled in to prevent the spread of malaria. A single date palm now tells of the torment of a goddess who once gave birth to a god on Delos, the god of music, of healing, and of death.